Hi, my name is Luke Sheldrick, owner of Terramore Farm, a small-scale organic vegetable and cut flower farm. Today I'm going to go over 5 tools that I think every farmer should have in their tool shed. Now I'm talking about hand tools, so simple, easy, not overly expensive. These are the ones you need to have to get your farm going, prepping beds, planting. Let's go over it. And as always, if you like this content, please hit the subscribe button or the like button, and feel free to comment below, say other videos like this you want to see. I'm thinking of doing one on the greenhouses, maybe the wash station, other pieces of infrastructure. Let me know what you want to see and I'll cover it. Thanks a lot. This video is sponsored by Dubois Agri-Innovation. They provide us with over 80% of the small tools, infrastructure, irrigation, cat tunnels. Honestly, so much stuff on this farm, and I love them as a company. I'm still speaking to staff of theirs that I started to work with 10 years ago, so clearly they're doing something right over there. They have incredible customer service, and when I contacted them and told them, hey, I'm going to be making videos and I'm going to be featuring your stuff, they easily could have said no. They were happy to work together, so here we are working together to bring you content. They've supported me and I'm happy to support them and tell you that you should be purchasing things from this phenomenal company. If you're not, you're missing out on the infrastructure you need. They're great. So in my opinion, the broad fork is probably the #1 most important garden prep tool because it allows you to prep your beds with minimal or no tillage. The reason is that it provides deep aeration without disturbing the soil. In this permanent raised bed system that we have, and even if you're just prepping a garden, you need to sort of break up that hard pan, which is the deep compact soil. Without tillage, this is the only way. So these nice long tines go deep into the soil, and then when I pry it like this, you're loosening all that soil without inverting it, without disturbing it, because you need that deep aeration for worms to do their things, for the nutrients to move around in the soil, and sort of just springboard the action of life within the soil. So not all broad forks are built the same. These both are sort of more lightweight options, which I prefer. We use a 30-inch bed system, and most broad forks are built for that. So you don't need much more than this width. I like that 5 tine, but these are not reinforced. This is a very lightweight one. And what we run into with that is a little bit of these being bent. So Dubois has actually released a second version where they're reinforced, and this doesn't add much weight, and you still get really nice deep aeration without them bending. So this is comparable to some of the more heavier models like a Meadow Creature or something like that, but I prefer this lightweight version. Next up is bed rake. This is an extremely important tool. Again, standardized 30-inch wide, and this is obviously for prepping your beds. So this one is the one from Growers & Co, and I absolutely love the tines on it. See how they have an Allen key in the top here? So they're actually replaceable. I haven't had to replace one because, as you can see, there's only one that's mildly bent, and we've had this for 3 seasons. Definitely an excellent bed rake. Now, one feedback I would say is that the pole on it, like the handle, is a little smaller than what I would like. So sometimes when we're really reefing on it, you feel it bend, and to me that feels like energy loss. I don't like to feel it bend. I like it to just be reactive to my movements. And here's the Johnny's one. So I really like the handle on this one. It's much sturdier than the Growers, but to me that's actually not enough of a redeeming quality in comparison to the actual rake itself. As you can see, these are bent all over the place, not ideal, so there's the constant sort of bending them back. Growers, I feel, has sort of solved that problem. Still a nice bed rake, but if I were buying it for the first time, I would go with the Growers one. But I would suggest to growers to put a nice big old handle on it like this, because I really like this. And then we would have the perfect bed rake. So what we do here when we're raking a bed is have it on a slight angle like this, with a little bit of extra that we kind of pull along. And what that does is anything it's going to catch through the bed, over time it will throw it into the aisle. And then also, because I'm kind of pulling it on this 45 or maybe more like a 30-degree angle, what it's doing is it's really doing a nice job of leveling out the bed. This way, like lengthwise along the length of the bed, but also width-wise. And that's really important when you're going to be direct seeding. So this is setting us up for success when we're going to be using the paper pot transplanter or direct seeding, just making it really nice to work with. So you want your beds really nice and level. Also, let's go over posture, because right now I have actually very poor posture. So for posture, what you want is an engaged core and a straight back. This hand at the top here and this hand here with both thumbs facing up. And then what you're doing is getting leverage here. So that's going to be able to work with you. And then when we're pulling the dirt, we're taking steps so that it's also what part of the work is in our legs and our upper body. So we're pulling on the step, and then that's going to distribute the workload so that we're using all parts of our body for the process. Next tool that I absolutely love and consider a must-have for every market gardener is the paper pot transplanter. So they have these sort of honeycomb trays that we plant into, and then they roll out as you plant. And this saves us countless hours of transplanting and has tons of benefits. Right now we're doing it for scallions. Another benefit of that is that we can actually deepen our trench so that they're actually being buried and blanched as we go. Look at Cal go right now. So another benefit of the paper pot system is that it actually saves time and space in the nursery as well. We're able to use this wonderful drop seeder, which we will show how it works. And then also each tray holds 264 cells. So for things like onions, spinach, things that take up a lot of space in the nursery, you're not only saving time in the field, you're saving time when you're planting with this drop seeder. Space is a huge commodity in the springtime in your nursery. So when you're using less trays, all around the paper pot system is saving time and money with regards to labor and heating. Love this system. And now we're just gonna go over how to plant with it. So Caitlin's just filling the trays here. So during this process, we put on loads of extra dirt and then push it down just to make sure each cell has plenty of soil in it. You don't want them to be just like half filled with air, because then you're actually limiting the amount of nutrients that the plant has access to. When we're doing it, we just hand dibble it like this. Now there is a tool for this. It's something we are going to get, but right now we're just doing this. Like, it hasn't reached that point where time invested and that it takes to do the hand dibbling will cancel out the cost of that piece of infrastructure. It's about $300 or $400 for the thing that you just pat it down and it makes all the holes. And it's something we're going to get, but we just don't have yet. Caitlin's face behind the camera is in awe. Everybody wants that. Okay, maybe we will get it. So once we've got a few trays done, then we load up the drop seeder. Way more convenient to do a few at a time, because then you can just drop and go, drop and go. So what you do here, and it works really well with onion seeds because each hole holds about 3 per drop thing, and we want to drop about 3 seeds per cell. So this works really nicely. So we want to make sure that they're closed in the closed position, and then we just shake like this, making sure there's seeds in every little drop spot. C'est ça. Then I'm going to place it in place, line up all 4 of the corners onto the holes for the paper pot tray. Then I'm just going to use my hand here to brush away any excess, because each hole kind of holds, like, if they're heaping, it's about 4, but we only want about 3. So I just brush away any excess, then very simply drop them. So that little click here is just where we line up the holes so that the seeds that were in there have now fallen into below. Then I'm going to use a brush to just quickly go over and make sure all the ones that are stuck fall in. And there's the result. You can easily see how the paper pot system is saving us tons of time and labor, right from seeding in the nursery to transplanting out in the field. We love it for crops like onions, scallions, kohlrabi, fennel, spinach for sure, dill and cilantro. Those are really tight spaced and we would be having to direct seed them otherwise. So it's a wicked thing to add to your market garden, and it can be used for flowers as well. We use it for things like sunflowers, and we haven't even fully explored its options in terms of flowers. So definitely highly suggest using it in your market garden. So another tool that every market gardener needs, I would suggest, is a direct seeder. The Earthway is a phenomenal intro seeder, but if you're going to be doing a lot of things like carrots, radish, turnip, and you want precise spacing, you need a Jang. It's called a precision seeder, and it is exactly that. It is extremely precise. First off, you've got the Jang single row. If you're starting out, that is a lovely option. We no longer use it because it's not as good as the 5 row. When you're planting something like arugula that's 10 rows per bed, that's just a lot of trips back and forth. And then also, you're gonna have a harder time getting your rows straight together. So when we're using tools to cultivate in between the rows, it's also a little bit weavy and not as good. So we really love the 5 row, but there's nothing wrong with the single row when you're starting out. So before we get into just showing you how it works, I'm just gonna go over a little bit of some of the details. Seed rollers, we have different ones for each crop. Now this is in the Market Gardener Masterclass, and that's something again that saved us a lot of time and trial and error. The work is done. They have the rollers matched with the crop and the desired weight for grams per bed that you should be dropping. And these are details that without that information, you'd be doing years of trial and error. So they've done it for you, and it saved us so much effort and money and improved our crop yields, because you can just look at their guide and buy the rollers they suggest, put on the settings on the Jang you want. We still measure how much seed we're dropping per bed, which is another thing they recommend, just to be sure we're sticking with the guide and making sure that it's working properly. And then this is a way you can diagnose any issues that might arise, because if something's wrong, you have a way of checking. Sometimes things happen wrong with the machine. These things happen. So weigh your seed before and after, and definitely suggest Market Gardener Masterclass, because that guide has saved us. Next up, it's got gears for spacing. So in here, just like a bicycle, it's got a front and a back cog, and that is the gearing that influences like how quickly this front spinning wheel is spinning our seed rollers. So it's got the guide on the side. What are we planting today, Bryn?
This is arugula.
So as we're planting, we're always keeping our eye on the rollers to ensure that they are dropping the seed. Sometimes it gets a little bit wet and that can prohibit it from dropping. The seeder all in one pass creates a trough with this here, then covers the seed and tamps it all as it goes on. All right, let's talk wheel hoe. So this is the 2-wheel hoe from TerraTech, and this is another must-have for any market garden. Right now on it, I have the wheel hoe attachment. Like, it is a wheel hoe, but this is the oscillating blade, the sort of classic. This is the 12-inch, and that's what we use for aisles, but also quickly just the tops of beds, rather than using a tiller if we just have to work in amendments or sort of just like rough it up before raking. 2 to 3 passes with this, or big time on the aisles. So this is the biggest attachment for that. Other major tool that we use is, and you need the bar extension so that you can attach 2 tools. We have the sweeps in front that replace this, and then the bio discs in the back. So then this combination, you can picture how it's gonna look. Your crop is just down here. These sweeps are getting in between the rows, and the bio discs are throwing dirt to cover the in-row weeds. So that's amazing, because the hard thing is often the in-row weeds. So that means that yes, it's easy to cultivate in between rows, but there's a lot of weeds that are the in-row weeds that are between the plants. So those are the ones that you have to go back and hand weed or whatnot. But these bio discs throw dirt, they mound it, and your plants, since they're meant to be there, are tall enough that they're going to survive, but the little weeds get buried. So this combo is absolutely incredible. So when I'm training the crew about how to use the wheel hoe, it's also worth noting you can really misuse your energy if you're trying to push down on this. And the beauty of the two-wheel hoe versus other wheel hoes is that your weight is distributed forward. Like with this sort of hinge here, this is very much ergonomically designed so that your weight can be distributed forward. Your weight isn't into the wheel. The hoe isn't down here at the wheel point. So what I mean by that is when I'm pushing, I'm kind of pushing up as I step, but just enough so that it's cutting the top inch or so of soil. So watch, it's not very much effort at all. It's like an upward motion, and it's actually gliding. Versus if someone is misappropriating their energy, pushing into it, they think they need to lean down into it, they can be making it a lot harder than it needs to be. So it's also super easy to switch out the implements. As you can see by me putting this one on and this here, these are adjustable as well with these ridges, so you can adjust how narrow you want it to be. So even though there's not a lot of space in between these spinach beds, these sweeps are gonna just fit if I put it on the most narrow setting, and we're gonna be able to just go along there and get in between the beds. So as you can see, the sweeps are just getting right up to that next bed of spinach, and then the discs here are fully covering any in-row weeds, but the spinach is gonna live fine. But you can see the dirt mounted right up against the base of them. Fully, look at that. So we love it for a lot of crops, but mostly we love it for the ones that are 3 rows per bed. It's just that extra spacing, so things like onions, beets, kohlrabi, fennel, our gem lettuce, bok choy, things like that where there's just a nice amount of space in between. We get our sweeps going and we're mounting those in-row weeds. It's a phenomenal tool for just that maintenance of those regular crops. The last added bonus of this tool in general is that with this combination of these and this, one person can head out to the field with maybe just a hoe and they can do an entire plot because they've got their wheel hoe, they do their centers for the aisles, then they switch the implements, they do all of their wider 3-row crops, get them all hilled, mounted with the in-row reeds and the centers hoed with the sweeps, all in one with that, and then they do touch-ups with just an oscillating hoe or a collinear hoe. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Those are the 5 tools that I recommend every small farm needs. Thank you so much to Dubois for the support and helping to make the making of this video possible. Thank you to all of you for checking it out. Please hit like and subscribe, and also comment on any videos you want to see. I want to keep sharing these videos that are informative as well as my vlog videos. So if you haven't seen those, check them out. We're making them weekly of a whole season on the farm here. We'll do more of these videos, so comment what you want to see.